Hey guys, what's going on? This is Trip from tripadvice.com, and today I'm sitting here with a special guest, and we're going to be talking about some amazing stuff. We're here with Leo from actualize.org. Leo, say hello.
Hey guys.
All right. So, Leo and I, we were talking recently, and we were discussing a lot of stuff about life purpose. And life purpose is one of really Leo's specialties. He talks a lot about that. That's one of his bigger topics, helping men and women find their life purpose. So we're going to get into that. I got some great questions for Leo today. We'll talk about some of that stuff. Before we get into that, if you guys want to find Leo and get more information from him, he's got like I don't even know, over, I don't know, 50, 60 videos on all about mastering your psychology, right? That's what you're all about. So they're amazing videos, so in depth. I'm going to put a little subscribe box next to him so you can check out his stuff. So let's get into it. Leo, my first question for you, really simple. What is life purpose? Why is it important? Why is it necessary? Let's just start with that. Let's start with the basics.
Life purpose is so important. I spent a lot of my life since my childhood really trying to figure it out for myself because I always kind of intuitively knew that I need a sense of direction in life. And I think that especially for men, having a sense of direction in life is important because really what it
Yeah.
does is it grounds you, right? As a man, it grounds you, it gives you a sense of calmness because you know that what you're doing is what you're going to be passionate about. It also um, gives you something to invest your time and energy in, something that you're going to master over your life, right? And for me, one of my values is excellence, being good at something in life, both being excellent at it and being passionate at it, right? So, and both of those things lead to becoming world class at whatever field of life you want to be really good at. And that's where a lot of success comes from, is being really, really good at one thing because our society rewards us for being specialized. And another thing that you got to consider about life purpose is that simply that even if you don't want one, you're going to have a job in life, right? Unless you're extremely wealthy and you're retired, most of us aren't. Most of us are going to be working 8 hours a day, 5 hours, 5 days a week, and we're going to be doing this for most of our life. Now, just from a happiness standpoint, if you want to maximize the happiness that you have in your life, which is basically what all of us are trying to do with all the actions that we take, the question is how successful are we with maximizing our happiness? Well, one thing you have to consider is that simply how many minutes and hours of your day are going towards what you really are happy doing versus just doing work for somebody else or just twiddling your thumbs all day. And so for me, if I'm spending 8 hours a day doing something, I want that to be what I love to do, what I'm really passionate about, what I can get better at every single day so that 10, 20 years from now, I'm really, really good at it. And it gives me a really deep sense of fulfillment that is hard to get otherwise.
Right. And so, and I have some ideas on this too. As you know, I'm a dating expert. This is a dating advice channel. So how do you think this relates to dating? I mean, I think it's way bigger than that. But just to talk about that for a second, how would this relate to being successful at dating and meeting a quality woman or a quality man for that matter?
I think it's super important actually because I've been in the dating scene pretty heavily for the last 3 or 4 years, and one of my personal biggest sticking points in life, like I'm a well-rounded guy. I read a lot, I study a lot, I take care of my
Yeah, I
finances,
can I
my
can see
health.
you read a lot. Look at those books. Have you read
A lot
every
of
single one
this,
of those books behind you?
there's stuff on there that I haven't read yet. That's kind of on my to-do list, but a lot of those I did read.
Seeing your channel and seeing like how you have so much information. That brain of yours is so huge. I wouldn't be shocked if you've read every single word in those books. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that I'm a pretty well-rounded guy, and one of my biggest weaknesses in life is dating. Just because I'm extremely introverted, and in my youth, that was something that I was very shy and very difficult for me to interact with women. So I've worked on it a lot over the last few years. And one of the things that's really important for guys is to have a sense of direction, right? And the reason that a sense of direction is important for dating and for women is because women are really attracted to that, and women are attracted to really the signals that a man sends out when he's on purpose, right? A woman will test you for this kind of stuff. Women are very emotional. Women act up. Women give you tests, and women want a leader, right? a man who is confident in what he's doing in life, confident in his values, and who's going places. That's what a woman is looking for in subtle ways. She's not consciously always looking for that, but a lot of the things that she's attracted to, those are qualities that come out when a man is on his purpose.
Yeah.
So, for example, being confident, being unreactive, being grounded, being kind of icy, right? These kinds of qualities. Also, like being just like emotionally stable, right? Because a woman relies on a man to be like her anchor in the relationship, and it's hard to do that when you don't have a sense of like this is what I'm doing in my life. And it was very interesting because when I got into dating and I started to really like train myself on how to get better at dating, one of the things I immediately recognized was that, wait a minute, I need to get my life purpose in order, right? My career, because at that point I had a business and I was earning a lots of money, but it wasn't the business I was passionate about. And actually that was coming through when I was going to the club or to the bar and I was hitting on a girl. That was coming through in subtle ways. Now,
How so?
as
Let's actually get a good example of that. Like, in what sort of way was that coming through? Like,
well,
how
just
did
like
she notice that?
even like very simple things, because a woman will ask you like, "What are you doing? Like, what do you do?" Right?
Yeah.
That's one of the first questions she'll ask you if she's into you, and being able to talk about it with passion versus just saying, "Oh, I just work at an office job." Like you say that to a woman, she's like, "Okay, cool." And it's not like you can't get a girl not having a job or having a lame job. You can. But when I talk about my job now, it's like, "Oh man, she asked me what I do." That's like done. Like she falls in love with me because I'm so passionate about it. I
Right.
can talk about like
Because
I
you
shoot.
love it, because you
Yeah.
love what you do, and she sees that, and that also, what I think that does is that takes away the neediness. It's like that
Yes.
you have
Yes.
your own thing going on, right? So, and whatever that is,
Yes.
you have that thing going on, and you don't need her to be happy, and that's huge, huge with attraction.
Yeah. David Data in his book Way of the Superior Man, he really talks about how to be a proper man. He talks about masculinity, femininity, and it's a really great book to read if you're trying to improve your dating life and really understand yourself as a man. He also talks a lot about life purpose, and the reason that is like you said, because if a man makes his woman the center of his life, it might seem like the woman wants that, but she doesn't actually want that.
Right.
Most women, what they want is they want a man who's like on his sense of purpose in life, and then she's tagging along for the ride, right? And she's enjoying all the benefits of that, and that grounds him. That makes him unreactive and not needy, right? Because if you don't have a sense of purpose, then what might happen is that you find a really good girl, and then you kind of fall for her. You fall for her, you make her the center of your life. That might be okay for a little bit, but eventually it's going to lead to problems because you're gonna go into that neediness mode, and that's going to make her actually start not to like you as much.
Right. Right. Do you think that when it comes to life purpose, because, it seems like we're almost talking about work here, like, what someone does for a living. Do you think it
Hmm.
matters, how much you make? Do you think that it's, do you think money is an issue? Like, should you, if you're making a lot of money, you know, should you think that, okay, this is like my life purpose? Because I think guys might get confused between life purpose and job and how much money you should make, and whether is a woman attracted to the money or is she attracted to the purpose? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay, that's a good point. So, so yeah, we need to make some distinctions here. Life purpose is definitely, we're talking about your career here, right? Your career. It's not a hobby. It's not getting into a marriage. Those aren't life purposes. Those can be nice things that you can layer on top of your life. But a life purpose we're talking about here is what your work is. And let's make some distinctions about work. You can have just a regular job that pays the bills, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people in our society just have that. A job pays the bills. Maybe it doesn't pay the bills quite as well as you want it to, or maybe it pays the bills really, really well, right? And you're earning so much money, you're stashing extra in your bank account, and that's great. But there's one level up from that. One level up from that is like a career. A career is a job which also has really good yeah, future potential. So prospects for growth. You can see like a chain of promotions that might lead you to something really great. That's a career track. And that's also great. That's better than having just a normal job. But then there's something that's even higher than that, and that's life purpose. Life purpose is about having a calling, right? It's about something like literally that you're willing to fight and bleed and die for in your life, in your work. What is your work that makes you really passionate, so that when you're waking up in the morning, you're like, oh damn, I'm so excited to work on this, and it consumes your life, right? So that's the distinctions here. As far as money goes, actually, what I love about life purpose is that it is your best shot at earning the most money.
Totally agree with that.
Because what society really needs is it needs more passionate people willing to invest lots and lots of time and energy to create amazing products or services or whatever it is that you're doing with your work or your business. And it's really hard to do that, right? It's really hard to be competitive in today's world because we have a really interconnected global society, global marketplace. A lot of people are competing for jobs. It's really hard to be successful there and earn lots of money if you're lukewarm about what you're doing. If you're not like totally thrilled about it. Like, how are you going to compete against me? If I wake up every morning and I'm willing to work 14-hour days and I love doing that because I really love shooting my videos, are you going to compete with that? Like, only another person who's equally passionate as me or more passionate will be competitive in this kind of marketplace with me.
Right.
So that's really like something that I see as a competitive advantage. And as far as money goes, when you're really passionate, you're putting all this energy and work into your career, then money tends to come from that.
Right. Yeah. I
And it
mean,
tends,
yeah. If you're doing the thing that you love and you're passionate about it, the odds are you're going to be good at it because you're focusing so hard on it and you're working so much at it that, I mean, it should be able to just flow in like that,
mhm.
you know? And I think, and there's something else we should talk about too, in the fact that, because you said earlier, and I want to make this distinction too for guys who are watching this, is that in the beginning you said you might be doing that job that you hate, that 9 to 5, right? But then here you're saying, that you're, getting up and working 14-hour days, So I want to talk about that a little bit. I know you have a lot of things to say. I think that, you know, the whole 9 to 5, that's more just like another way of saying, with a typical job, just going into some office. But, let's let the guys know, and I know we're both on this level, is that we love what we do. We're so passionate about it. And we're working, I mean, 24 hours a day. If I'm not working, I'm sleeping. So it's not like you find your life purpose and then you're like, oh, I get to go to on vacations all the time. And like, no, you're going to do this thing that you love every second of the day, but it's never going to feel like work. It's never going to feel
Mhm.
like a job. It's going to feel like your life purpose, right?
Yeah, that's the secret there is that you basically want to nullify work, right? Because work is kind of a dirty word. When you say work, and if work implies doing some sort of grinding activity, then it's like, who wants to do work, right? And so if you're grinding through 8 hours of your day, then at the end of those 8 hours, you're feeling a little bit cranky, you're feeling tired, you don't feel like doing anything else with your life, you feel like drained, especially if your work takes a lot of like emotional labor from you.
Hmm.
Um, and like, who wants to live a life like that, right?
Right.
And it is funny that you mentioned this because just recently I was hearing a speaker talk about this whole idea of the 4 hour work week, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss's thing.
I have so many
Um,
opinions on that. Yeah, okay, go,
yeah,
go ahead.
and it was like we were talking about it, and he was saying like how actually like pernicious that idea is, because a lot of people think like, well, I want to become rich, and then I'm going to get like passive income streams, and then I'm going to like kick back on a beach somewhere, or go hang out with my girl, that kind of stuff. Like, actually think about that, because it sounds good on paper when you first hear it, and right now you're stuck in a 9 to 5 job, and you're like, yeah, that would be sweet if I could just kind of like kick back and take a month of vacation and do whatever I want. But actually, what you're going to find is that if you're in that kind of situation, after a while, what happens is that you get bored. Literally, you get bored. So one exercise that I like to give guys to find their life purpose is to ask them this question. I call it the $100 million question.
Okay.
And it goes like this. If you had $100 million in your bank account right now, and let's say we gave you a month or two to use a lot of that money for whatever kind of personal desires you have. So you want to go traveling to Europe, or to South America or to Asia somewhere, go do that. You want to go buy yourself a fancy car and a nice house, an apartment, condo in some high rise. Go do that. Go to all the fun shows you want to go to. Go to some like bars and clubs and buy yourself some ridiculous bottle service. And after you do that for a few months, imagine yourself just sitting at home on the couch. You wake up one day and you're like, yeah, like I got the money. I still got millions and millions in my bank account. And you're like, I already explored all this cool stuff that I always wanted to explore. And now it's like, oh shit, I got my whole life ahead of me. What do I do? What do I do with my time? Because there is quite a bit of time during the day. What do? You can't spend it all partying. You can't spend it all hanging out with a girl. You can't spend it all traveling all the time. Like you're gonna get bored of that stuff.
Right.
As a man, what comes after all that is a sense of impact on the world. Like, what kind of impact do you want to have? Because your time here is limited. What is this time going to do? How are you going to contribute to society? What's the meaningful way for you to do it? Right? And you're not doing it for altruistic reasons. You're doing it because it fulfills you. It's really fulfilling. It's a high quality of happiness when you're doing something that other people see, interact with, and then take a lot of joy in.
Right. So what do you think? Let me ask you that question. You have $100 million in a bank account. What do you do?
What I'm doing now. I Last year I really spent a lot of time asking myself that question and really thinking about it and kind of like visualizing it and seeing how would it really play out. And for me, it's about giving people deep insights about life, helping them to understand life. That's my life purpose. And it took me a long time. That phrase that I just said, that's not just some willy-nilly phrase. I spent a lot of time honing it, refining it down until I got it to this phrase, because I can wake up in the morning, I can read it on a piece of paper and say to myself, that's my purpose, is to give people deep insights. Now, that's a pretty abstract purpose. There's a lot of different ways that that could actually be realized. For example, I could do it through a YouTube video. I could do it through writing an article. I could do it through giving a public speech. I could do it by talking to you. There's many ways to do it. I could do it through coaching, which I do. So, and maybe there's other directions that I haven't even explored yet. So your life purpose is always an evolving thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, that's the thing is, and I say, one of the most important questions, and it's very much similar to that question. It's really, what do you want, right? And I like your question better than mine, actually. That's better. But I always say to guys, and I say this a little bit more in terms of dating, but this is a question you can use for any area of your life. It's, what do you want? And I say it's one of the most important and at the same time one of the hardest questions, because sometimes
Yes.
we don't know what we want,
Mm.
And I think the way you ask it, with you have $100 million in the bank, it lets you really kind of cut out a lot of BS, because a lot of guys might say like, oh well, I want a good job to make a lot of money to provide for a family. It's like, okay, let's cut all that. You have it.
Yes.
Now what do you want to do? It's
Yeah.
like one step further.
Yeah. Because people get so sidetracked by all the kind of garments, investments of society. Basically, because society tells us kind of what you should want, right? It tells us that you should want a cute girl, a nice car, a house, a family, or a good job, or some sort of gadgets or technology or whatever, a big screen TV.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff is very unfulfilling once you get it, and it's hard to believe that, because if you told me 5 years ago I was really like into money and I really needed money because I felt like it would really open my life for me, and in some ways it has, but I was making the most that I ever made at that point. I was making over 6 figures passive income, wasn't even working for it, and I was the most unhappy I was ever in my life, because I wasn't on my sense of purpose. I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. I was just doing work that was getting money, but that money, after you get a certain amount of it, it just doesn't fulfill you.
Right. And then you can just do the dual combination where you are making a lot of money, but you're doing the thing that you love. You
Yeah,
know?
it's
Yeah.
really an intersection. I saw this graph once on some website, and it was kind of like a Venn diagram. And what they had is they had these three circles. So 3 circles, and they're kind of intersecting. And one of the circles is, what are you really good at, right? So
Okay.
that's one circle. The other circle is, what can you get paid really well to do? And the other circle up here is what are you really passionate about? And so when all three of those intersect, that space right there, that's your life purpose. It's what you really love to do, it's what you're good at doing, and it's what you'll get paid really well to do as well. So it's that intersection, that sweet spot, and that can be a little tricky to figure out.
So
Because sometimes you
what
get
do you
two of those, but not
think?
all three.
What do you think are some? Okay, so you said you can get two of those, but not all three. What's like some tips guys can walk away with from this video? Like, what are some practical steps they can do to be able to work within that Venn diagram and be able to figure that stuff out?
Right.
You
A
gave
lot of
us
guys,
one. You gave us one with that question. It's a really good question. It's like something to really sit back and think about. What else could we do?
yeah, good question. So life purpose is a little bit tricky to figure out. And I think a lot of people don't figure it out for themselves because it is kind of more of an abstract thing, and it's also a bit of a more of a long-term thing, right? Usually you don't figure it out by sitting down and just thinking about it for 20 minutes. Um, it requires a certain baseline level of experience in life. I find that this is another thing that a lot of guys lack is, if you just grow up in one town and you go and you kind of start doing one type of job and then you kind of just get stuck in that, one way that people don't know what they want in life, and this is a big problem, is that they just don't have enough experience to feel passionate about something. And so developing that experience is good. I think travel is a really good way to get more life experience, and that will help you in a kind of in subtle ways to suss out what your life purpose is. Also, I think working different jobs, or if not actually getting a job, but just tinkering around with stuff. So, for example, in my youth, what I did is I tinkered around a lot with a lot of stuff. Tinker around with programming, tinker around with art, with digital art, tinker around with making music, tinker around with whatever kind of hobbies or like passions that you have in life. Kind of follow them and see where they lead you. Sometimes they'll lead you to a dead end. Sometimes they'll actually lead you towards your passion. And then you can use feedback that you're getting there from the world and from yourself as you're doing those kinds of activities to give you directions. Am I going in the right direction or am I going in the wrong direction? Kind of that warm, cold sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And you know what? I think even one step. See, this is good. You're talking about experience, which is like the biggest part here. Because you're not just gonna be able to sit down on a couch and be like, okay, what should I do with my life? That's gonna be really tough, right? So you got to go out there and do something about it. And I always say, you know, once you start doing those core things that you're talking about, once you start narrowing it down to what you want, one of the best things you could do is get yourself a mentor, right? Get yourself a mentor in the area that you want to be in, right?
Hmm.
So whatever it is that you think you might want to do, it's hard to like read a book about it and really understand what it's going to be about. So find a mentor or get some sort of internship and do something for free where you can surround yourself by whatever it is you think you want. Because one, and again, this is all related to what you're saying about experience. Experience it and find out if it is something that you love and it's making you happy. You know?
Yeah, mentors are huge. It's a really great way to grow really, really quickly. I find that one of the problems with finding mentors is that you already need to have some sort of sense of what you want to be doing in order to get that mentor,
Yeah, it's a second
right?
step, right?
So it is a really powerful step, but for a lot of guys, they're kind of stuck even before that. So they're like, well, find a mentor in what area? Like, I don't know where to find a mentor in. So like for me right now, sure, I could go out and easily find a mentor because I know what I would want a mentor in, right? And you could do that too. For some guys, that's a little bit trickier. So I think that one good way to start, kind of from ground level, one thing is read books, read a lot of books, reading a lot of books, reading a lot of biographies, reading a
Yeah.
lot of like history, getting like a well-rounded kind of worldly knowledge, right? Of what are the different things that are out there in the world, what kind of professions exist, what kind of people are you inspired by, what kind of things were they doing? So when you read a lot of biographies, for example, you start to get ideas, and you're like, oh, it would be really cool if my life ran in this direction, like this guy here, or like this woman here. And so that starts to get you a little bit of more understanding of your own knowledge and kind of your own passions. Um, I think that another thing is just get involved with personal development too. For me, this is big. Stuff like buying information products that teach you about how to be more successful in life. Stuff like going to seminars, self-improvement seminars, going to hear people speak, lectures, that kind of stuff. When you hear passionate people, And when you're studying personal development type topics, that's also going to get you a deeper understanding of yourself, what your core values are in life, what's really meaningful to you, so that you can get a deeper and deeper understanding of yourself to to help suss out what your life purpose is.
Right. Okay, so we're talking about reading, reading
Yes.
more, um, you know, taking some sort of personal development, either it's a seminar or buying an information product and getting yourself more involved in that area, and then experience, right?
Yeah.
So let me just ask you another question. This is something it's related, but it's a little more specific for some guys out there. Um, what if your life purpose is like a little weird, okay?
Hmm.
And you know, weird is also a very vague term, so that's different to everybody. But what if it's something that you feel it's just not of the norm? You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
just a little off the beaten path, but it's your life purpose, and you know it is. How do you deal with the insecurities revolving around that?
Sure, that's good. And yeah, your life purpose is going to be something that ultimately is going to be very custom tailored to you. So even if your life purpose is something like uh, shooting personal development videos, like what I do, or your life purpose is giving people dating advice, right? When you actually adopt that purpose, you're going to really custom tailor it. So if somebody else has a purpose of shooting dating advice videos, that person is still going to take a different angle to that purpose than you are, right? Because once you start refining it and refining it and refining it, you get into the little things that you like, right? Like every little thing that's very particular to you that you like, and this can lead to some sort of weird purposes, right? Maybe for example, you want to take dating advice and you want to take it like into sex coaching, right? Or maybe you want to take it into coaching only women or only certain types of men. And so like there's so many little niches and subspecialties even within a specialty, right? And so, of course, you might discover that it's something that you're not getting support from your external environment. That's really what you're talking about when you're saying something is weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's either mainstream society doesn't value what you value, or maybe mainstream society looks down on the thing that you want to be doing with your life, or maybe it's somebody close to you that looks down on it or doesn't understand it. So your parents, your siblings, your friends, maybe your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, that kind of stuff. So what's important here is to really, again, understand what you want, right? It's all going back to what you want. So one of the answers here is to simply, as a man, you have to be firm on what you want. Once you understand it, once you know it, that really helps with plowing through the resistance that you're inevitably going to get. Resistance is going to come from all sides. Resistance will come from people around you that might not support you. Resistance might also come even from your own doubts, right? Self-sabotaging behaviors that you do, and you have to be prepared to go it alone if necessary. So if your parents don't support you, society doesn't support you, you have to be like, well, this is what I love. This is what I'm really good at. This is what I'm going to become world class at. You have to have a vision, really a really powerful vision for yourself as to where you're going to be 10 or 20 years from now. Because that vision is going to guide you, right? Through all the tough times that are going to come, they will come. There will be a lot of obstacles. And that vision will help you to plow through some of that resistance.
Right. And you know what? Let's look at it at a logical standpoint too. You have your life purpose. We're talking about happiness here. So if you found what it is that you love to do and that's what makes you happy, what's the other choice, right? To bow
Hmm.
down to society and, um, go with what everyone else is doing and then be unhappy. I mean, I like to really almost narrow things down to a few choices and just really taking what's the better route to do, right? And the better route in
Yeah,
this case is to do the thing that you love and be happy, and that's what's gonna. I mean, I think that's the purpose of life. We're talking about life purpose and the purpose of life. It's to maintain happiness and I mean, it's a little deeper than that. Hopefully, you're maintaining happiness and also spreading love around you and helping other people. But at the end of the day, you got to do what makes you happy. I mean, that's the
yeah.
most important thing. And if you're not happy now and something's off, you got to fix it.
Yeah, you're going to be so miserable doing that because I have done that multiple times in my life. I've pursued things for really just because I thought it would make me happy or because I thought it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
given what society was telling me or what my parents were kind of telling me. And when you're doing that, it's like your soul is getting drained from the inside out. And it's like it just it makes you more and more miserable, it makes you more and more depressed, and kind of like filled with anger and frustration and like passive aggressive behaviors, that kind of stuff. So like you don't want to go down that route
Right.
for too long if you can avoid it,
Right.
right? Like sometimes you might have to for if you're kind of like cornered for financial reasons or whatever. But you want to try to get out of that as quickly as you can, and it takes courage to do that. It's not an easy thing. That's why most people don't have a life purpose, because this is something that takes work. Like
Right.
literally, I've spent years of work trying to figure it out for myself, because this is something that no one can come and tell you this is your purpose. You have to do it yourself. You have to discover it, right? It's that hero's journey, which is another metaphor that I really love for talking about life purpose. Um, Joseph Campbell in his book Hero with a Thousand Faces, he talks about how the overarching narrative of every story through any society, going back thousands and thousands of years, all across the world in all cultures, is this story of the hero. And the hero is someone who starts a journey without really wanting to start the journey. He's kind of forced into it. And so, like Star Wars, for example, follows this archetype, right? Luke Skywalker, he gets set on this journey to go fight the Empire, but he doesn't even want to do it. He does it because basically he's attacked by the Empire, so now he has no choice. So he goes, and now he faces all the struggles on this journey, right? But something inside of him is like burning to go out there and live a bigger life, to expand, to do good in the world. So he's out there, he's struggling to fight the Empire. He needs mentors, right? He gets Obi-Wan Kenobi to come in there and to help him. So he gets some mentors like you're talking about that help him refine his purpose and kind of get his bearings straight, also give him the expertise that he needs to become good at what he's trying to do, to actually succeed. And he's going through, and he's facing lots of obstacles, lots of challenges. And Joseph Campbell, he calls this threshold guardians. These are literally either people or situations in life that are like a brick wall. And what these situations do are they really test the hero's resolve for his purpose. Do you really want it bad enough? That's basically what's being asked of you. And if you don't want it bad enough, then you quit and you drop the journey, and then you're not a real hero. If you do want it bad enough, you bust through that stuff and you keep going. And eventually what happens is that you face those guardians, you go through, and then towards the very end, you face your greatest fear. Because your greatest fear is the thing that holds you back the most from really achieving your dreams and from having that contribution that you want to society. So you go, and the hero is put to the final test. Will he be able to face his ultimate fear, right? In Star Wars, that was Luke facing Darth Vader face to face. Can he actually fight his own father and win? And so he takes on that challenge, and he's a true hero, so he prevails, right? And once he prevails, what happens is that, and here's the greatest thing, here's the whole point of life purpose, is that he finds the holy grail, or he finds the elixir of life. This is the wisdom and the knowledge that he then wants to pass on to others like him who are starting their own journeys. So he can inspire them with the achievements that he's created for himself in his own life, the stuff that he's figured out. He can now become a mentor himself. He can now become that Obi-Wan Kenobi for somebody else. And to him, that is the greatest pleasure in life, is to pass on the learnings that he's acquired through his own journey to others. And it's a really good metaphor
Yeah,
for understanding this.
that was awesome. That was a great explanation. And I mean, that's literally, I mean, that's what you and I are doing right now. I mean, all this. I mean, this is information passed through a YouTube channel, all about wisdom, about the things that we've learned. So
Hmm.
all it is a cycle, right? We're
Hmm.
passing it on, and the people who are going to watch this and go through their own journey, they're going to get to the top, and then they're going to pass it on. And I think the most important thing that you can do in this world is just to keep going and keep passing it on and keep that cycle flowing. So, we just continue to create better people in this world,
Hmm.
and people who are strong and happy, you know.
Yeah,
So
and that's ultimately the question that it comes down to is, you, the viewer right now, what kind of impact do you want to have on the world? Because there's a whole vast range of possible impacts. Do you want to make people smarter? Do you want to make them have better love lives? Do you want to help them find careers? Do you want to help them connect with their friends? Like there's so many different possible impacts that your life and your work can be having. So the really important thing is to figure out what exactly that impact is, and then you can start to say, okay, so if that's the impact that I want to have, then what kind of things do I need to put into place in my life so that everything is aligned and everything that I'm doing is promoting that impact
Right.
in my job, but even in my hobbies and stuff like that. Because for me, life purpose isn't just a career thing, but it's really kind of the central pillar, like the backbone of my entire life. To my life purpose, once I got that backbone, I'll attach all the other parts of my life and I'll align everything together so that literally everything that I'm doing in my life is connected and promoting and is kind of like all going towards one point, right? It's like a focused laser beam. And this means that my relationships will promote my life purpose. My hobbies will promote my life purpose. The stuff that I'm reading will promote my life purpose. The people I'm friends with will promote my life purpose. All of it will flow together. And when you do that, here's a good metaphor for that. Imagine that you're kind of like you're like the sun that's emitting all this radiation and light, right? And the sun is emitting this light in every direction, every possible direction. That light gets really diffused, though, because it's going everywhere. If you take that light from the sun and you focus it into a very narrow beam of light with a magnifying glass, right? You can use that beam of light to burn through a piece of paper. When it's not focused, then it's just diffused light. It has no power. You can't burn through anything with regular sunlight. But when you focus it with the magnifying glass, it's so powerful. And so that's, to me, one of the reasons that I pursue life purpose is because I want a really powerful life, right? I want a life that is creating success for me. It's a life that's also touching other people in positive ways.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. This is like so great. Like I'm gonna watch this interview like over and over and over just to motivate me. Like I hope this has been so motivational for you, the viewer, if you're still watching this. Leo, thank you so much. Like that was just like the perfect note to end on right there. It's just like when you can really have your life purpose and you can really focus in on the thing that you want and find your life purpose, which is what we're talking about, then you can become your most powerful self. And then everyone wins. I love
Yeah,
it.
there's so much depth to this topic. I mean, I want to create entire courses on it because there's
Yeah.
so much to talk
Well, I
about.
mean, listen, I mean, I've been watching your videos and you guys should too. Go to youtube.com/actualizedorg and that's where, I mean, a lot of that information is, you know. And the cool part about it, I was going to say this earlier, is that when you're going through this journey and you're trying to accomplish this, you're going to have so many different obstacles like we were talking about. And Leo, you have so many awesome videos that help with that. You know, you have a lot of stuff in there like about anger and depression and you know, just balancing all those different crazy parts of life. So, you know,
Yeah,
if you're watching this, go check out his stuff. It's seriously, it's just as powerful as this interview right here. So, Leo, thank you so much.
yeah, you bet. My pleasure. I love talking about that stuff because to me, it is like a really big jigsaw puzzle with a lot of little pieces, and when you start putting them together, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying when you're like growing every single day,
Yeah.
and you know where it's taking you. You know that it's taking you towards something that's really meaningful in your life, and you're just putting in piece after piece after piece. You're just like refining all your processes and your thought, your you know the ways that you think and your relationships and all that. You put every piece into place, and it just like it's like wow, I finally own my life. It's like an artwork. My life becomes an artwork, and it's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, you exactly. I love that. You own your life, you're in control, and you feel like you're taking the path that you want to take. And it's not because of someone else, and you're not trying to do it for someone else. You're doing it because of you. And I don't
Yeah,
mean that in a selfish way. You got to do the things that you need to do for you because then you're happy. And if you can focus on your happiness, the people that you end up touching, the people around you, and every relationship, whether it be a girlfriend or a friend or a brother or sister, mom, dad, they become happy too. And it continues to spread, you
yeah,
know?
and ultimately, where all that leads you to is actually a very selfless life. Because once you do have your purpose, you can kind of like let go of your ego, and you can kind of let go of all these like little petty desires and like little nagging type of niggly things that frustrate you about life. You can those kind of fall by the wayside because you have something that's like this ideal that you're working for.
Yeah.
And when you're working towards that, it's like you get this sense of relief. It's like, oh man, I can like let go of all that petty stuff,
Yeah.
and now just like focus on that ideal that I have.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. Well, Leo, Any parting words? Anything else you want to leave off on a end on a high note? Even though I think we're on a pretty high note as it is.
Yeah, I think if you're watching this video and this is the first time that you've been introduced to life purpose, or maybe you've thought about it before, but you're still kind of unclear about what you should be passionate in life. Number one, trust that you do have something that you will be passionate about. A lot of people, they'll tell me that, well, there's just nothing I'm passionate about. That's nonsense. You just haven't discovered it yet. You need to go on a journey of discovery. So have faith in yourself that this is something that's worthwhile to do. It's very worthwhile. And don't let your brain tell you that this is some sort of luxury. This is not a luxury. This is something that's really your duty to do, because the greatest way that you're going to contribute to society and the greatest way that you're going to promote your own happiness and success in life and also your finances and your money is by finding your purpose. A lot of people, they get stuck in a job that pays them fairly well. Be careful about that, because that's a trap. Because where you're going to tell yourself, well, to find my purpose, I might need to, for example, earn less money for a while. That's okay, because it'll come back to you later. You got to think longer term, right? Be wise about this. Don't just go for the short term thing, because then you won't find your purpose. And you'll tell yourself that finding your purpose is some sort of pipe dream, or it only works for a very select number of people. I can guarantee you that if you go on this journey of discovery, you'll find it, and you'll be so happy and glad that you went and did the work.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Leo, thank you so much. If you guys want more information on Leo, again, go to youtube.com/actualized.org, or you can go to his website, which is actualized.org. So check him out. And of course, subscribe to this channel, Trip Advice. I'm going to put some links below where you can subscribe to both of our channels to get more content just like this. Leo, thanks again. Hope you had a great time, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
Yeah, it was amazing. I love talking about this stuff. And Trip, you did a great job of asking the right questions. And yeah, thanks for helping me keep it concise. Because if I was talking about this, it would probably roll for 3 hours.
It's okay. We're talking about dating. I think probably do the same thing.
All right, and we will. I want to hear your thoughts on dating on my channel, so we'll do that soon.
Awesome. Look forward to it.